Coming up, Democrats are panicking about what Doge will find after their corrupt behaviour in the various government departments. The ex-administrator of USAID gives her point of view on her firing and USAID cutbacks.
Well, you can imagine when you suddenly in your inbox find a termination notice or a leave of absence notice that you didn't expect to get on a flawed predicate that you're doing radical leftist insubordination. It's pretty jarring.
Power denies that she's involved in radical leftist insubordination. I guess USAID was purer than driven snow, well, at least according to Democrat rhetoric, despite all of the corruption that has come out. In terms of insubordination, let's have a look at her behaviour in terms of documentation that the Senate wanted from USAID. Here is Rand Paul questioning power.
Or denied that we're on the same veins of creating viruses that could have become COVID-19. We can't tell because you won't give us information.
Again, consistent with longstanding practice, we are providing extensive documentation. We have a whole team of people who do nothing other than look back and predict.
That is not true.
It is factually accurate.
That is not true. Everything we have asked, we have not gotten. I have not seen one document on the PREDICT program.
I understand that, again, consistent with common practice
consistent
across
that you're not going to give it to any senators.
No, we're providing all of the kinds of documentation that you're describing.
You are not. You're being dishonest. You're being dishonest.
I'm not.
We haven't gotten one scrap of paper from you. Not one scrap of paper.
With the committees of jurisdiction, we are providing all of the paperwork that you are requested by the chair.
I'm on the other committee. I'm the ranking member on the other committee, and I haven't seen a scrap of paper from that committee either.
Well, that is...
Here, Power proves to be a liar. She insists that she has provided the committee with the required paperwork, despite the fact that Paul says that he is the ranking member on the other committee and they haven't received the paperwork either. This was clearly a ploy that Power wanted to play, that the reason that Rand Paul did not know about the paperwork having been sent was that it was sent to another committee that she deemed to be the appropriate one. It is unfortunate for her that Paul was on that other committee as well. If you enjoy this sort of content, please like, share and subscribe. And then we have Democrat Jamie Ruskin on Doge.
Elon Musk has been sending his juvenile fascist night crew to federal agencies and departments throughout Washington, including coming into my district, to NOAA, to NIH, the FDA, in order to get not just all the financial records, but personnel records at NIH, patient records, records from various studies and various grants. So they want to run roughshod over the entire legal infrastructure.
Talking about juvenile, it is Ruskin himself that is juvenile with his histrionics. Those resorts to claiming people are fascists is so last year. He clearly didn't get the talking point. But the Democrats sure are pushing hard with their ludicrous assertions. It is clear that they have a lot to hide, and it keeps going. Here is Congressman Robert Garcia.
And they understand and realize that right now, Elon Musk is essentially the president of the United States, bestowed with all of these powers by Donald Trump. Jonathan, I just left a rally right now with a bunch of teachers from my community who are demanding that Elon Musk immediately, essentially desist and stop his attack on the Department of Education.
Once again, we get the ridiculous and tired old talking point about Musk being the president. The Democrats are getting nowhere, and rather than doing a careful analysis of what has gone wrong with their party, they continue with ludicrous talking points that get no traction. but they sure are worried about Doge. Next, we have Representative Kamlaga Dove with another line.
Absolutely. The phones have been ringing off the hook. I am hoping the same is happening for Republicans because Lord knows they are running into the shadows. I just had a series of conversations with our community clinic associations and also folks from the education community who are afraid, given the pause in funding for research at the National Institute of Health.
Republicans running to the shadows? I don't think so. They're delighting in what Doge is showing as far as Democrat corruption is concerned. And this is why the Democrats are flailing. Next, we have Representative Sarah Jacobs.
Mad, and in addition to being mad, they're scared because, we know that none of us have any idea what Elon Musk and his Doge bros are going to be doing with that very sensitive personal information that they've had access to. People are scared that their Medicaid is going to get turned off. I visited Head Starts. Early childhood education, we know, is so important. That is all federally funding. They don't know if they're going to get the funding to continue serving these really low-income, vulnerable children.
Yet more scare stories. But it is the Democrats who are scared and are pushing fear porn. Sensitive information? How about all of the bureaucrats at the Democrats were so happy to go hassling the American public? Nothing to see here when they're in government. But now that Doge is highlighting all of the corruption? Just to continue, you have Representative Dave Min.
My next question, because your colleague Jeff Merkley basically said he's prepared to try to shut down the government over some of these sledgehammer actions that he's seeing by Elon Musk. Are you prepared to shut down the government, to join Democratic colleagues who want to stand in the way of keeping the government open?
Well, you have to look at what the Trump administration is doing right now. They are simply trying to, they are simply trying to dismantle the government. So yes, look, if we have to take steps to be able to hold them accountable, use the leverage that we have to force it, I cannot support efforts that will continue this lawlessness that we're seeing when it comes to this administration's action.
Min is perfectly happy to shut down the government. And as for sledgehammer actions, how terrible to want to get rid of waste and shrink government. It's also funny how Democrats were completely unconcerned with bureaucrats writing roughshod over people's rights when they were in power. If you want to know what to look for what people do not want you to look at or into. Given the panicked, almost screeching reaction we are seeing from the Democrats, it is clear they don't want Doge looking into what they are in fact looking into. Then we have Biden's favorite historian, John Meacham.
The thing that is the most troubling to me in the past X number of days was the vice president weighing in that way. Because it felt to me, and I pray that I'm wrong, it felt to me as if it might be setting a predicate for the kind of showdown that would potentially break apart this constitutional system of checks and balances.
How terrible that the vice president should call into question clearly partisan decisions that tame Democrat judges are handing down. What breaks the system of checks and balances is not questioning shonky decisions by partisan judges. What breaks the system of checks and balances is looking to test a case in a cherry-picked jurisdiction where you know that the judge is on your side and will support your cause and thereby hold up government. Then we have hysterical Choktal Hinojosa.
Comes to Elon Musk, and that is the problem. He owns several businesses where personal data and personal information could benefit his financial interests. And the sources that I've been talking to within the FBI are actually terrified that he is trying to put people within the FBI in order to advance his financial interests. One example of that is he wants the FBI to start using Starlink. So How frightening is
the panic narrative that Doge is bad gets more and more ridiculous with every single soundbite that the Democrats put out. Now, Musk offering a leading internet solution puts at risk the entire constitutional system of the United States. If the USA really was so fragile constitutionally, then it really doesn't deserve its preeminent position in the world. Scott Jennings gives some common sense.
You're terrified that the FBI might have the internet? I mean,
I'm terrified.
I'm
terrified that I'm terrified that Elon Musk is putting people in federal agencies to figure out business opportunities for him.
I think
and
it's
that's true, Scott.
This is the richest man in the world. This man,
that's concerning.
And he's like sleeping on on the floor of a government office building 7 days a week in order to help this government. The spending is interesting. We're not going to balance the budget based on these spending cuts, although some of this stuff is patently, objectively ridiculous. And when I see Democrats rushing out to defend some of the things that he's cutting, I mean, it makes the Democratic Party sink to very low levels.
Scott Jennings speaks sense. And then there's the panicked reaction about Musk being the richest man in the world. And that makes the whole issue of talking points on Doge more and more absurd. Trump himself gives some perspective.
Early Saturday, a judge agreed with them to restrict Elon Musk and his government efficiency team, Doge, from accessing Treasury Department payment and data systems. They said there was a risk of irreparable harm. What do you make of that? And does that slow you down on what you want to do?
No, I disagree with it 100%. I think it's crazy. And we have to solve the efficiency problem. We have to solve the fraud, waste, abuse, all the things that have gone into the government.
Brett Baer pushes Trump on the irreparable harm claim. The point that Trump makes clear is that there are very real things that need to be solved, such as waste and inefficiency. This is completely lost on the Democrats, who thrive in a world of graft, corruption, waste and inefficiency. And Trump continues.
Look, I ran on this, and the people want me to find it. And I've had a great help with Elon Musk, who's been terrific.
Bottom line, you say you trust him.
Trust Elon? Oh, he's not gaining anything. In fact, I wonder how he can devote the time to it. He's so into it. But I told him do that. Then I'm going to tell him very soon, like maybe in 24 hours, to go check the Department of Education. He's going to find the same thing. Then I'm going to go to the military. Let's check the military. We're going to find billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud.
Well, Trump ran on this, and this is something that the Democrats can't handle. A president actually following through on election promises. What Trump finishes with will really have the Democrats shaking in their boots. Rapid-fire investigations into departments for waste, corruption. Department after department. On the issue of legality, here is CNN's legal expert, Elie Honig.
So, that I've heard that scholar is a little shaky in some of his opinions. The strategy that Donald Trump has used here so far is he's going to do what he wants first. And then he's going to make plaintiffs. He's going to make state attorneys general. He's going to make private citizens go sue him in court. If they want to stop him from doing what he wants, they have to make him. So that's definitely been a strategy by the president. But that's not unconstitutional. Where it crosses a line is if that happens, he goes into court, and a court says, you're not allowed to do this executive branch, or I'm putting it on hold, I'm putting an injunction. And then if the president or the executive branch defies that, that's where we get into real trouble here.
Even CNN's legal expert knows that what Trump is doing is legal, even though it is clear that he doesn't like it. And then there is CBS analysis of how Trump is doing in terms of the American public's view.
We begin today with our first assessment of how President Trump and his policies are doing just 3 weeks into his second term. Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House. Joining us with more is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to see you, Anthony. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He's doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in that. In fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not.
Trump is more popular than ever, once again, because he is doing what he promised. Even many Democrats grudgingly admit that Trump is doing what he promised during the campaign. There are huge kudos with that. The public likes straight talk, and this has been missing for the last 4 years. And then we have delusional Cory Booker.
Well, again, I think the plan right now is working in 4 parts. One is a legal strategy to stop him from violating the separation of powers, from violating our civil service laws, civil rights laws, and we're winning. We've seen 41 cases being taken, 10 of them last week, 12 of them, excuse me, were successful in stopping some of his illegal actions. The next is a legislative and oversight effort to really try to expose it, not to treat this as Democrat versus Republican, right or left, but really right or wrong, and continue to try to use our positions procedurally as well as legislatively to stop what he's doing. And then finally, perhaps most importantly, because all of us have to have a role, from the media to everyday citizens, which is shining a light on the dark corners of what they're doing.
Booker seems to think that the Democrats are winning. He sees putting up lawfare cases as winning. That is not good politics or good governance. It is simple obstruction. And Cory, you claim that bright light needs to be shone into dark corners. Don't be a bloody hypocrite. Bright light into dark corners is what you and all of your Democrat fellow travellers are objecting to so vociferously. Then we have Kayleigh McEnany.
But Andy Kim, he went on to say, you know, we're on the cusp of constitutional crisis. That's the new buzzword, because I heard Chris Murphy say it's a constitutional crisis.
Oh, so the bat signal's gone out.
Yes, it's as if they've not learned that the existential rhetoric did not work. The threat to democracy, not to mention we have sound that we could pull up at any moment from December of Hakeem Jeffries talking about government shutdowns hurting working people and those affected by hurricanes. What happened to that logic? It's out the window 60 days later.
McEnany makes the point that we have seen all too clearly from what has been shown before in this video, that one of the Democrat talking points is that Doge constitutes a constitutional crisis. That is absurd. The other point is that Hakeem Jeffries, a mere 2 months ago, was talking about government shutdowns hurting working people. He doesn't seem too concerned now. Then Guy Benson makes a point that I have made previously.
Another phrase that we're hearing and an argument repeatedly from the Democrats is no one elected Elon Musk or his team. And I just don't understand, from the party that has fully supported to the hilt every federal bureaucrat forever, who are unelected, faceless people who make all sorts of decisions with our money and have forever, for decades. Now one person who's unelected making some recommendations with a team and trying to find efficiencies to reduce the size of government and the scope of government, that's the crisis.
Clearly, governments always have a whole lot of unelected people making decisions. Often, they are not in the best interests of the American people. Look at the stupidity of the EPA legislating that carbon dioxide is a pollutant, so that they could have massive regulatory overreach, basically getting into any part of life where carbon dioxide is emitted, which is pretty much everywhere. Where was the Democrat outcry about that one? And so many others. What do you think about the Democrats' reaction to Doge? Please let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.